Welcome to this edition of Common Sense Defense. Today, we're going to be talking about supply and maintenance of our fleet that is deployed in the Eastern Mediterranean and how that is so important now and in the future. Um, to get right into it, currently we have two battle groups that are in the Mediterranean off the coast or nearby Israel to protect it from ballistic missiles defense and protect it from missile defense and to protect it from other adversaries out there that wants to destroy them. So we are protecting our friend and our ally, Israel. Um, to do that, we have put forces in that area to deter adversaries from trying to attack. We have um, two carrier strike groups in the Mediterranean, the U.S. the Ford carrier strike group and the Eisenhower carrier strike group. Then we have in the Red Sea the Bantan, which is an amphibious ready group that has about 2,000 Marines and has a helicopters and AV-8Bs, which are Harrier jump jets. Then we have coming inbound, I am projecting the Carl Vinson that will probably be going to the Arabian Sea, which is going to be about 200 miles, 150 miles away from Iran. And the Carl Vinson has the F-35C, which is a stealth plane. And so that will add an incredible capability for us in the near the Persian Gulf in threat, holding in threat the Iranian forces. So what you're trying to do is we're trying to protect geopolitically and militarily Israel from the higher level threats from state actors like Iran, like Syria, to a certain extent, Hezbollah. But Hezbollah is a state-backed terrorist group, but they have the capability of a state actor, right? So we're trying to provide top cover for Israel with those forces. Now, let's look at the maintenance. Last week, I believe, what ship was that? That was the USS Ramage, I think. Anyway, last week there was one of the destroyers in the Persian Gulf, in the Red Sea, that intercepted 3 cruise missiles and some several drones that were heading towards Israel. It used probably the SM-2, which is a standard missile. 2 has a range of about 60, 70 miles. Costs about $2 million a pop, $2 or $3 million a pop. And so it shot down the missiles, the cruise missiles, and then it uses Mark 45, which is a 5-inch gun, to shoot down the drones. Okay, great, wonderful, well and good. But let me ask you a question. How much do you think that engagement costs? And do you think of the missiles that destroyer launched, how many do you think it has left? There you go. So when a ship launches a missile, that's great. It does its job. But now all of a sudden you have a missile cell, that's empty. And so you every time that you launch one, and you've got to have to eventually get it replaced. Or you can just leave it gone and realize instead of having 68 missiles, you have 65 missiles, or whatever the number is. And so now, if I were an adversary, what do you think the best way to get us to deplete our capabilities? Well, you just keep firing drones, keep firing cruise missiles. And if we keep shooting them down, then all of a sudden you have a situation where your capability to react is limited. So that's where supply comes in and resupply. So we have fast resupply ships that come in and they add fuel. They give you extra missiles. They give you all those capabilities. They go up next to side and they shoot across a wire, and then they pull across the support material, and it sends a crate across to the other ship for whatever type of supplies it needs. Those are called resupply missions. They also, you've obviously also seen them do the same thing with the fuel, right? They pop across, use a little mortar thing, and they put a wire there. They pull a fuel wire across, and they pump in all this fuel to refuel the ship. Same kind of concept. Okay, so when you have a carrier strike group out there, and they use up resources, whether it's fuel, um, whether it is munitions, whether they may need some type of a pump for one of the engines or something like that. That's why they have these big old long 700-foot um, dry supply, fast resupply ships that travel along with the fleet, with the carrier strike group. Those come aside and they replenish them. Now, this to the point that last week when that ship launched those 3 missiles and fired off those shells to destroy those missiles, now they have to resupply those. And that's what we have to always remember, that you want to keep your weapons load topped off constantly. Fuel topped off constantly, especially in the battle area. You never know when things happen that you need to have everything topped off. So our ability to keep operating is very critical for the success of the mission. And you never see it on TV, but every day or two, you can always see those resupply ships coming in and supporting the fleet, because you got to have dry goods stores, you got to have fuel, you got to have weapons, you got to have all the things that you need to be successful, and to fulfill your mission. Now, that happens in real time. That happens on a daily basis with the success of the fleet. Now, what happens when the fleet comes back home? When the fleet comes back home, guess what? They have to have what's called an availability. Those ships now have to go into port, get resupplied and restocked up, and also fixed. And when they have to get fixed, they have to go into a dry dock. And the biggest unfortunate issue that the Navy has had for the last almost decade is we have reduced the number of dry docks. We've reduced the numbers of shipyards and ability to maintain our ships. And so now the number of ships that need help and work have gone up substantially. And so which when you need ships to deploy, you don't have the capability because they're waiting to go into maintenance or go into dry dock. So back in the old days, meaning 30 years ago, we had lots and lots of shipyards. But when the Cold War was over, we said, oh, we don't need these shipyards anymore. The Soviets are no longer our adversaries, so shut this down, shut that down, close that down, shut that down, save all this money. Well, we shut everything down, and then we found out now we're in a new Cold War, and we need to turn on a whole new systems and operations so that we can keep our stuff going. So now we have this big deficit of a bunch of ships and submarines and platforms that are not even being looked after because we don't have the capability, because we shut everything down 20 years ago. So now we're in a situation where, how do we do that? Well, it's time to put more money into the maintenance situation. So that's what we need to do now, is we have to. So there's this term called the SIOP, not the old days single integrated operational plan, not that SIOP. It's called the Shipyard Investment Program. SIOP, yeah, Shipyard Investment Program. It's supposed to be $20 billion over a couple of decades, whatever. Wonderful concept. Triple it. So what would have been $2 billion per year for the next 10, 20, it needs to be $6 billion per year. That number for SIOP is way off. It's not working. So in fact, that's something I have a whole book about, that talks about what we can do to get more capability to the Navy so they can produce and fix more ships. The bottom line is that we need more capability from a maintenance perspective so that we can keep our lethality, so that we can keep our mission projection rate, so that we can do more globally. And so not only do we need more ships, we also need more maintenance capability. We need more capacity to fix our ships. And so it's wonderful to be able to deploy 40, 50 ships into a threat environment and prepare or present a deterrent. That's a wonderful thing. But it's what's replacing it. Well, there's not a lot of backfill. There's not a lot of capability. There's not a lot of play in there, because you put everything out there because it has to be out there. And so that is exactly why the Navy needs more money in the NAVC budget, so that it can maintain the ships, so it can produce more ships, so it can deploy more ships when we need them. We're in a crisis now. We're in an emergency now. And this is not even including China. This is not even talking about China. This is like just for operations. And so that's where we are. That's what we need. We need more money into our maintenance budget. We need to hire more civilian shipyards. We need to give them the capability so they can hire more people who can work in the shipyard, who are not even from the shipyard industry. They can be trained to do shipyard maintenance and brought online. We need to look to bring in material from all over the place so we can solve this problem. We have a delta, I think, of 50 to 75,000 maintenance people that we need to bring on board just to keep the system going and to get to where we are. We're in almost in an existential situation where you have to have a strong Navy because you have to present a strong deterrent. You have to have people respect you. And if you can't deploy ships, if you can't protect your friends and allies, then people, your near peer adversaries will say, oh, well, I think we got you. I think we'll take that island there. We'll take that sea there. We'll take that over there. And all of a sudden, your friends are left out in the cold because you don't have the ability to protect them. So maintenance is very important to that. We have to have the ability to maintain our platforms and make sure that our platforms have the best possible chance to be upgraded with the latest technology. So that's where we need billions and billions of dollars. In fact, I have a campaign called the Build Our Navy campaign, and I'll do a whole talk about that next. That will kind of go through some of the things that we need for the Build Our Navy campaign because it's so critical to the success of our nation and our defense posture that it has to be done. We have to build on it. We have to invest money into the maintenance capability of our Navy and our civilian forces out there, civilian capabilities, so that we can keep our Navy strong. So we look forward to talking to you about the Build Our Navy campaign next, and you have a great day, and we'll look forward to talking to you really soon. Thanks so much.